I'm so sorry.
What's that?
I'm so sorry. The last one, I looked up, I was answering a question, and I was like, oh shit, we're 7 minutes over.
That's no big deal. No big deal at all. I know you're busy.
All
Um,
right. Well, I'm
Is
ready whenever you are, huh?
is this the last one for the day?
Yes, ma'am. And then I get
Okay.
to go in and play some baseball on my Xbox for a while, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, fun. Which game do you play?
I play MLB The Show.
Nice.
I
Nice.
love it.
Is that something you've been playing on systems throughout all the years? Because I've had, I mean, base
No,
games even in
actually,
Nintendo.
yeah, I now when I was a kid, I played a lot of baseball. Me and my daddy used to. We'd play on Super Nintendo. But I hadn't really been into video games other than like the Mario stuff with my little boy, stuff like that for a long time. And then I got a Switch so I could play Mortal Kombat, get back into some of that, sometime last year. And I got a baseball game. And one of my buddies was like, man, you already get that on Xbox. So I got an Xbox Series S, just a white one without the disc drive, and
Fun.
got the game. And me and my buddies play online almost every single day that I'm home. It's
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
intense.
Do
Oh
you
yeah,
take it with you on tour?
I do. I'm kind of hooked on it.
That's awesome. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, I got that on the Switch too, and it is so much more brutal than it used to be on
Hmm.
the Sega.
Oh yeah, it's wild.
Who's your favorite character to play?
I'm either Scorpion or Sub Zero guy. I'm
Yeah,
old school.
yeah. I always played Sindel, even clear back in the day, and that one still is my favorite. She's intense.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So the album comes out. I mean, you still got a couple months to go. How long have you guys been
Hmm.
working on it? Is this the one that's been in the works for a while?
Well, so we finished up all the recording in early January. Finished everything up. And it's out September 29th, but this one we didn't really even start working on it till about the recording process till June of last year. We would write songs here and there, but I don't know. I don't think we were in a super big hurry just because the way the pandemic went and all that. We were just kind of waiting to see how the world was going to unfold.
For sure. Yeah. So you kind of were able to take your time with it, which was one nice
Hmm.
thing about the pandemic was, with especially with music. It's so weird to say that because you guys make a lot of your money on tour. Unfortunately, that's how the music industry is
Yeah.
right now. But there's so much great music that came out of that time.
Oh yeah. No, there's so many bands were had the opportunity. I mean, we couldn't tour, so all we could do was write songs.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of bands have put out some of their absolute best work since the pandemic, because you got to think a lot of times where you go tour and then you've got, a year to get all your life together, write a new record, record the new record, and then go right back out on the road and start touring again. And it's a fast paced kind of thing. So the pandemic, as awful as it was, it did give people time to evaluate and reconnect and figure out what you truly love.
Yeah. Plus, giving that space to be able to really contemplate what those things are. Because when we're living in that rat race, it's hard to remember like the smaller things that we take for granted. So I think a lot of people
Oh
were
yeah.
able to kind of remember the things that your shirt is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I get there. It's one of those,
Best
there's
of
one of these
friends.
ladies that makes all these, like all those shirts, like the bleachy shirts and stuff. And this one was just too good not to get all the
Mystery
murderous
lab.
villains in the Scooby Doo mobile,
Oh my
the
gosh,
Mystery
that is
Machine.
great. Yeah, it's a good time of year for that too. I don't know. I know it's July, but we already started scary movie season. We started
Yeah,
earlier,
it's close
earlier.
enough. It's close enough. Look here, I saw they already had Thanksgiving stuff out somewhere. It's fall y'all stuff, and I'm like,
Wow.
it just got summer 3 weeks ago, y'all. Can we not with the pumpkin spice shit yet, please?
It's
We
as soon as
just got
as
we
soon as the
literally just got swimming pool weather a week and a half ago.
oh jeez. I think part of it is like as soon as the 4th of July is over, it's like next holiday, and the next big one
Oh
is
yeah,
Halloween. And then but Thanksgiving, yeah, I didn't even they don't
yeah.
have very many Thanksgiving decorations, so that's pretty shocking.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure Christmas will be out by August.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right. So, first of all, I want to tell you the first time I had seen you guys was back in, I think it was 2006 with Black Label Society and Priestess.
Holy shit, that was one of our first tours.
So
That's insane.
I didn't know who you guys were at the time. We had traveled to, so I'm in Boise, Idaho. We had
Uh,
traveled to Salt Lake because Black Label Society at that time was not allowed back in Boise due to incidents that had happened before. So we had traveled, it was the day before Thanksgiving,
yeah.
weirdly.
Oh
And
yeah.
we yeah, didn't we hadn't heard Blackstone Cherry or Priestess. And I loved Priestess. I've seen them a few times since, obviously before they
Mm,
disbanded. But you guys were so like there's sometimes openers that you almost feel bad for the headliner. Like, how are they going to follow that up? You know, and that's who you're there to see. And you're just like, oh man, okay, I feel bad for these guys that they're going to have to follow that. You guys were just blew me away. Your vocals are so incredible live. I was just
thank
floored.
you.
And then I remember at the end, you guys were hauling your own stuff out. And I thought, well,
Hmm.
that's not going to be going on very much longer. Like they're going to have a crew here quick because I was just blown away. Now, I don't know if you remember or not, but did you play a Moody Blues song that night?
Well, so what we did was on that tour, I remember that Salt Lake show because it was kind of upstairs. The venue was upstairs a little
It
bit, I
was a
think.
weird venue.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was fucking really weird. But I remember
Yes.
that because the next day we were headed up to Seattle for after Thanksgiving to go play. And we were going to go have dinner, Thanksgiving dinner with Zach and Duff from Guns N' Roses. And I think a couple of the Alice in Chains guys, Jerry, and maybe somebody else was going to be there. They're going to have a big
It was no
rock
big
and roll
deal,
dinner.
guys, for your first tour.
Well, Zach got stuck. Zach's bus has got stuck on top of the mountain at the pass because of the snow. We couldn't even go up there, so we ate Thanksgiving dinner at this hotel that had prepared a Thanksgiving dinner thing, and you could go in and pay and eat. Two of the guys got food poisoning. We had to cancel two shows. It was a shit mess. It was fucking awful. But the blues song we did, which was, and I don't, that tour. I was talking about this tour the other day to somebody, which is odd that you brought it up. We won the crowd over every night when we would do that blues jam. And what it was we took two Muddy Water songs and slammed them together and made like a little medley thing, and it just worked. It was Hoochie Coochie Man and Manish Boy, those two songs, and but that was when the crowd went from throwing shit at us most nights to actually paying attention and listening to us. Oh, on that tour, I took a full beer can to the head one night.
It
John
doesn't
Fred took
surprise
one off
me.
of his chest. I mean, it was their crowd was absolutely fucking brutal until about four songs in. We hit that blues jam and we did the blues number, and they were like, "Oh, hang on, these punks are actually they know a little bit of music," and they were in after that. But that tour, I think my biggest memory from that tour was Zach got sick the last two nights, and the last show he was able to get steroids and stuff, and he was good for that show. But the show before that, his voice went out.
Oh.
And I ended up going up to sing for him. I went out and closed out the show and sang Stillborn.
Ah,
And Zach, so I got to sing Stillborn. I got to sing lead vocals on Stillborn for Black
wow.
Label. But that was before the time of cell phones at shows, and Black Label was very strict about recording at shows back then. So there's no footage of it anywhere. And I'm like,
Oh,
fuck.
that's a
I'd love to see that.
bummer. Oh, that's
Because
a
I had
bummer.
really long hair at the time.
Uh-huh.
And John Fred and all the dudes were like, man, it looked like fucking Ozzy up there singing with Zach. It was so cool.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
So he
I
was
don't have a
still
single
playing, you were just
photo.
doing the vocal parts.
Yes, Zach
That's
was running
awesome.
around just like you see footage of Zach with Ozzy, how he's all over the stage and
Mhm.
headbanging and shit. He immediately went into that mode. It was intense. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh, what a cool experience. Hey, you know
Oh
what?
yeah,
Just even being able to have the memories of that experience is pretty awesome. Um,
absolutely.
that's their crowd is intense. And that show, I didn't go to many Salt Lake shows at that point. I did when I was younger because I lived in the middle area between Boise and Salt Lake. So it was one or
Hmm.
the other. But that show I was genuinely scared at, and I don't get Nowadays I do because I'm older and I have anxiety, but back then I didn't
Same.
get scared at shows, and I was genuinely nervous. And it was right after everything happened with Dime, and you went up those stairs and they weren't checking anybody. And that
Mm-mm.
freaked me out.
No, and it's
People were being carted off, like there was an ambulance there that night.
yeah,
It was intense.
that and that crowd, it was a rough crowd, and
Mhm.
it was it was different, and I remember one of the things I remember about that tour is, it not being long after Dime, Zach was still really shaken up about the whole thing. And he would show up right before they played, and he would leave as soon as they were finished. You would see a couple of the other guys every now and then, but Zach, he was just it did something, to lose Dime, and we all understood. We were totally cool. Zach was so sweet to us. He's always been nothing but the sweetest to us, but he just wasn't around, for the shows much back then. It's but he's such a fucking legend and such a great guy, and
Mhm.
such a sweet human being. I'm so happy that he was able to get through the drinking, and he's still
Yeah.
with us, and he's healthier now and looking good.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's a totally different show nowadays than it was back then.
Oh
You
yeah,
can
we
tell he's healthier.
we played with him last year, I think it was in Montana, and we played with him twice since the with the newer lineup with the drummer and the new younger guitar player. Um, and man, they're good. They're
Yeah.
really good. I
That other
love that
guitar
band. I
player is, I mean,
He's
holds
unreal.
he holds up to him like to a point to where you're like, "Ooh, I don't know which one's the better player."
Well, and the thing I liked about it too is what I like about the newer guys. He doesn't play just like Zach. To where Nick,
Yeah.
they called him the evil twin because he played
Mhm.
just like Zach.
Mhm.
I think his name's Justin, right? Isn't that his name?
You know what? I can't remember. It's been a while since
I can't either. I'm probably
that
fucking
might
that
be
up
right.
because I keep Justin Derrico that plays for Pink stuck in my head. He's another great guitar player. But like he's a totally different player than Zach, and it makes their
Mhm.
band sound bigger and wider, and it's just I love
Mhm.
it.
Yep, I agree. I agree, and I'm embarrassed I can't remember it either.
Oh, it's all good. I think
Is
it's
it
Justin, but I
Dustin?
could be wrong. It might
I
be
can't
Dustin.
I can't
I don't
remember.
know.
Yeah, it's been a while since I have really even listened to them, which is kind of crazy. They were my favorites for a long time. But yeah, you
Mm.
guys, I just blew me away that night, and I was liking it before, the Muddy
Yeah.
Waters mashup. But I grew up listening to Muddy Waters, so it was really exciting to see that. Plus, again, your vocals are just insane. I don't think
Thank you.
you hear it on the albums, but I anymore, I think everybody
Hmm.
just assumes that things are so doctored up, but I almost even better live. I just was floored.
Thank
And
you.
you've maintained that. So with that, have you done like a lot of vocal coaching? Are you self-taught?
I never took any vocal lessons. The only thing I ever did was just sing into a tuner.
Mhm.
Like we would hit a note on a piano, and then I would sing into like a guitar tuner and go from there. That was pretty much all I ever did. Um, and it eventually caught up with me though. In early 2020, I had to have vocal surgery. I had to have a nodule removed off my vocal cords
Mhm.
because it was so bad that it was either going to be months and months and months of vocal therapy or have surgery and wait it out. So I had to have surgery, and that was 2 weeks before we started recording The Human Condition.
Oh
So
my
I was fresh out of surgery when we did that record. But I've started taking a lot better care of my voice. I still smoke cigarettes. Obviously, I was smoking one earlier, but um, I have cut back. I used to be a 2 to 3 pack a day guy. At some points in my life, and now I'm down to where a pack of cigarettes will last me a day and a half, 2 days most of the time. Because I try to do the Zen pouches or a small little vape or something, just so I'm not smoking so much. Um, but that and just pacing myself. And I tell you what, there's a great band called the Georgia Thunderbolts that I love them. They're a great group of kids. They're more of a southern rock band, but their singer is one of the best singers I've ever been around in my life. He just really is. He's a kid in his 20s, but like I was talking about how good Chris Cornell. We were talking about recordings, and he starts singing all this Chris Cornell shit to me, and just like note for note singing it, and I'm just like, hair on my arm stand up. And he started talking to me and explaining to me. He's like, man, he said, it's all just thinking about memory and how you're breathing and stuff. He said, whenever you hit notes and it's really easy, remember that feeling and just recreate that. And little stuff that he said to me over the last couple of years has really helped me as far as being able to hold up live, things like that, you know?
Wow. That's interesting. I'll have to look them up. That's
Hmm.
interesting that it's neat that you're able to take advice from a younger guy in the business. I
I
think a lot
learn
of people struggle with
I learn
that.
stuff all the time. No, I learn stuff all the time, and I love it, especially because we've been around for a long time now, and we've never really blown up in the states. We're a club band in the states. We have a great time doing what we do, and we love what we do, and but we get a lot of the newer, younger bands coming out, and if I see a kid doing something cool, I'm like, hey man, what's that about? I have no shame in learning anything because the day you stop learning anything or you think you don't need to, you might as well just give it up because you're not going to get any better, and
Yeah,
anything you do in life, you should want to try to get better at it consistently.
right, 100%. Absolutely. Well, I want to dig into lyrical content. That's one of the things that has been so consistent over the now 8 albums. I've listened to the new album multiple times. It's incredible. It is a
Thank
warm
you.
hug from the self-titled. I feel like there's so many similarities. But lyrical content has always you've always been so fantastic with how you portray emotion and positivity also, going through difficult things. You just do a really good job of that. I'm a therapist outside of this, and so
Mhm.
a lot of the things that you sing about, I know help other people. I see,
Mhm.
how you're able to use that kind of transfer of energy.
Mhm.
Tell me where you get some of your inspiration, if it's all just personal, if yeah, if you get it from any other mediums.
I think more than anything, it's just life, you
Mm,
know. Like the story writing songs, like we did a lot of on folklore and superstition. That stuff's fun, but I think the areas where because we all write together, and we all contribute lyrics and music and melodies and everything. But I think for me personally, the contributions that I make, I'm better suited with songs that deal more with personal demons and life struggles and things like that because I've been open and honest about my struggles my whole life. And, I wake up and I take my medication every morning and I try to put on a good face even when I'm having bad days, but it's not that easy. And I'm not I you being a therapist, you understand that not everybody can hide their emotions. Not
no.
everybody can fake a smile. And I'm one of them people that I can't fake a smile. I'm just having a good day today and it's going good.
Mhm.
But a lot of the lyrics on this record, at least my contribution of them, it's all from life the last couple of years. Because for me, I always consider the inspiration for the album from the minute we finished the record before, all the life we lived up to finishing the record we're on now. Once we finished our recording part of it, the life lived between that gap. It's kind of like the dash on a headstone. That's what matters. It's not the start date or the end date. It's the dash. It's all that shit in the middle, and they make it a little line. It didn't make a lot of sense, but it's the same thing. I don't know. The way the world shaped up. Our band went through a big change, and I lost my dad, and all that shit happened at the same time. It was a lot to go through, and I was mad about a lot of things, and mad at the world, and mad at situations, and then I was sad at those same things. And then it's you know, there's a grieving process to everything. It doesn't just you don't just grieve death, you grieve, a lot of things. And speaking to therapists and all the things that I've done over the years, I've started to learn and figure out how to deal with things, but I still, I still need help. And the songs on this record, a lot of them really attack those kind of things. And I'm so thankful that people are relating to them and understanding them and and not just going, oh well, these guys, this song just sounds mad. No, it's not just a song that's an angry sounding song or something. It's a song that's saying something, you know. And
Mhm.
that's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't. It's not about my guitar solos. It's not about how badass the riff was, or how awesome we all play on the record, or any of that. It's about the song and the message in the song. And if people can't connect with it, then what's the point? You know,
Mhm.
we want to connect with as many people as we can on the deepest level we can, because that's the ultimate payoff. You don't sell records anymore, so you're not making money off of that. We're not a band that gets played on radio a lot. So the way we make our living is playing shows and selling t-shirts at those shows.
Mhm.
But the biggest payoff we ever get, and I mean this, is when people tell us that they connected or related to a song, or a song meant something to them. Because at the end of the day, I think the greatest thing in life is to know you're not alone,
Yeah.
you know? And when someone connects with something in a song that you helped be a part of, you know you're not alone. And when they sing it back, you know you're not alone, you know?
Yeah. What a beautiful thing to be able to be not only a part of, but just like a cathartic experience that yeah, you get to share with others, which is so neat.
Oh yeah.
Um Tell me about Who Are You Today? That one, the lyrics really jumped out on me initially when with my first listen.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off with a pretty interesting statement, you know, saying, I said a prayer but can't remember the reason. That for a while I think I almost stopped believing. Um, you know, and that's, I think what that, for me, what that's saying is, throughout all those things I mentioned that, you know, that me and the band went through over the last couple of years, is there's a lot of times you're just saying, God help me. I don't even know what with right now, but just something help me, you know. And then there's those times where you go, is there even anything to help me? You know, I think we've all questioned everything at some point in our life, and it's just being honest about it. You know, it's a lot like that line I said about the dash. That's, for me, that's what who are you today sums up. You know, because it's, I mean, reflections change, memories fade. You know, or reflections change, but memories stay. Sorry, money fades. You know, it's those things. You know, it's those memories that are inside that little dash. I mean, the song could have easily been called the dash. You know, but it's kind of that thing. You know, and it's who are you? You know, basically, when you're dead and gone, what are people going to remember? You know, and that's because that's what you leave behind. If you had money, if you didn't have money, nobody's going to really care about that.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to care what, you know, items you had. It's going to matter what impact you had on people, and the kind of person you were, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Smile World is your like message to remember to smile in spite of how
Hmm.
the world has been exceptionally difficult. The world, like that's so crazy.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a local thing, it wasn't just a state thing, it wasn't just a country thing, like the whole world.
Hmm.
It's so nuts to think about it that way, but that was my takeaway with that one, is just like a reminder.
Oh yeah. What's funny is that song came out of me waking up in a really, really ass mood one day. We were I woke up and I just didn't, I was having one of those days on the road. I just did not feel like messing with anybody. I didn't want anybody to talk to me when I first woke up. I hadn't got my morning done yet. And one of the guys said, well, what do you do, Chris? Just wake up and say, Smile World. And Ben goes, that's a great damn title, Smile World. And Ben started, right, like, we came up with this music, and then Ben had that first verse set of lyrics just pop out of his head. And I was like, man, hell yeah, let's go. And it just ended up being one of those fun songs. And I'm glad it made the record, because it helps balance out all the heaviness and lyrical heaviness of some of the rest of the record. You know, it is that reminder just to chill, man, have fun, and don't snap back at everything. You know, that take a minute, breathe about it, and smile. You know, sometimes you ain't got to snap right back at somebody that snap at you. Just smile back at them. I guarantee you, fuck the world up worse than you calling them a bad name.
Oh, 100%, 100%, because it
I've done
confuses
it. You
people.
get the weirdest looks, and sometimes they get even more pissed off, which just makes it even funnier.
But you know that it made an impact enough that they're going to think about it later, that it's not going to be
Hmm.
something they're
Yeah,
just going to be like, because it's
they're gonna go home
weird
and be
enough.
like, "Oh yeah," they're gonna be like, "I called him a dick and he smiled at me. What is wrong with him?" And then, but they're gonna think about it, and they're gonna
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I like to ask everybody because I think it's a very important question. What are some things that you do for self-care and balance?
Well, a lot of stuff for me, like I have to find ways to get my mind to do something to focus on. Because if I don't, then it just starts wandering, and I go down the dark holes, and it's not good for me at all. But the number one self care thing I do is I take my medicine every morning, and because when I don't, if I try to like go a week without it or something, it's just not good for me, you know. And I understand that, and I finally accepted several years ago that I need to take medicine every morning to be the best version of me that I can. So that was number one thing, was talking to somebody and getting some help. Then the other thing is I find things to do with my time, whether that's, you know, sometimes I'll change pickups in a guitar just because I'm bored and I want something to do instead of thinking about all the things in my mind.
Mhm.
But like I play a lot of Xbox. I collect Pokemon and sports cards, you know, stuff like that. Little things like that that just keep me moving and motivated to want to do something else, you know.
Mhm.
Because it's easy just to sit around when your wife's at work and your son's at school, you know. Like luckily it's summertime and he's home and he's got some cousins over with him today and they're out in the yard having a good time. But
Um,
you know, it's it gets lonely around here, you know,
yeah.
especially since my dad lived right beside me.
Mhm.
So Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the school year are the hardest days. So I find something to do, and a lot of times on those days, I'll get in my car and just go for a ride, right up to a music store that's about an hour away, just to go be around people that share a common interest. But
Yeah.
you know, it's fun.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What if you're when you're driving to the music store, what are you usually buying or listening to?
A lot of times, what I like to do is I like to find guitars, and then I'll take them and barter with them, trade with them. You know, the guy, swap out stuff, or I'll go up there and just pick up some strings, or you know, buy a pedal or something that I really don't need, but just something that I want to try out. But a lot of times, I listen to a lot of Tom Petty radio. Honestly, Tom Petty
Mm.
and Bob Marley radio,
Mm.
just incredible songwriting on there. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, a good, really good inspirations for for lyrics. I actually have a Three Little Birds tattoo for my son. My son and I sing that song a lot. Do you? It's
literally
oh,
says, "Rise up
he's
this morning, smile at the rising sun."
there's
That's
my
awesome.
and he's a big Beatles fan too. So I have my Yellow Submarine. How funny! Well, it just tells you that that song has made such an impact on
Oh
so
yeah.
many people. It's such a positive, great song.
My
But yeah,
dad, my dad, when he thought it was his last day, he said, "Let's listen to some music." He was in the hospital, and he ended up coming home on hospice and got to pass at home, which was awesome. But
yeah.
his last day in the hospital, he wanted to listen to some music, and I said, "What are you gonna listen to, Daddy?" And my dad had watched every interview I'd ever done. He knew my entire story. He knew that Bob Marley's music was what got me through the darkest time of my life. My dad was a country music guy or southern rock guy. It was like Leonard Skinner or country music, you know, was his main stuff. And then he liked Pantera and Blackstone Cherry, you know. But I said, "What are you gonna listen to, Daddy? I got Apple Music, listen to any song you want to." He said, "Three Little Birds will do as good as any."
Oh,
And that was the song he picked because he knew that in that moment, even when he thought he was going to pass, that Three Little Birds was a song that helped me out more than any song
wow.
in the world.
Says a lot
And
about him.
that's just the way my dad was. It was me, him, my little brother sitting in that room, and you know, so my dad's tombstone on it on his headstone, you know, it's got two beautiful pictures of him, and at the bottom it says, "Don't worry about a thing," because that's what he wanted
Wow.
us to remember. You know,
My
so it's just
gosh.
old man's always with me, and you know, Bob Marley will always have a special place in my heart. You know, even before that, but even more so now.
Yeah. Wow. What a heartbreaking but beautiful moment too.
Oh yeah, I
Can you
mean, you know,
listen to it
it's
okay now?
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
know, it's I'm okay with that one. You know, because even in that moment, you know, I when we listened to it, I smiled. You know, I might have had a few tears, but I smiled just
Yeah.
because I knew his daddy's way of telling me everything's gonna be all right, regardless of how the outcome was coming sooner than we wanted it to. It was gonna be all
Yeah.
right, you know.
Yeah, you're younger than me, so he must have been a really young guy.
Daddy was 57.
Yeah.
He made it almost to 58.
Uh, I'm so sorry. That's so tough.
It's okay. My daddy was he's a hell of a man. If I'm ever half
Yeah.
a daddy he was, I'll be doing all right.
Well, you have made a big influence on so many people, not even just as a vocalist listening to your music, but as a human, all I've ever heard is just amazing things about you.
Thank
And
you.
so it
Thank you.
sounds like you definitely have lived up to the legend.
Well, he always taught me the right ways, you know. Never start a fight, make sure you finish it, and never be mean to nobody just cause. You better have a reason. So, you
So
know,
you have
it
a son. How old is your son?
he's 10
He's 10.
and as full of shit as a 37-year-old grown man that you're talking to right now. Well, I'm 38, sorry. I keep getting it confused. I turned 38 in June and I keep saying 37. But no, he's 10 going on 21 and got every bit of mine and his mama's personalities and attitudes. Because she's redheaded and he's got her temper. Trust me.
Ah, he sounds like he's a lot of fun though, never a dull moment. What are some things that you feel like either you've learned from your dad or just that you've learned from life in general that you feel like is very important to teach him?
You know, more importantly, anything is treat everybody the same. It doesn't matter what walk of life they come from, how much money they got, what God they believe in, if they believe in one or not, what color they are, who they love, how they love. Just treat everybody with the same respect that you would want to be seen with. You know, and that was the thing that the one of the greatest compliments I think I ever heard somebody say about my dad was 2 weeks after he passed. We were doing a show with ZZ Top, and Daddy was supposed to go to that show with me, and we had talked a lot about it. And a girl that he went to school with was at the show, and she said, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You know, I really thought a lot of your dad." She said, "And I just want you to know that everybody I know and anybody that ever met him, if we could describe Steve with one word, it would just be kind." And that's all you can ask for is I want my son to grow up and be a kind person. You know, I want him to stand his ground and you know because I can be a little stubborn, you know, at times, but I want him to stand his ground, but do it in a kind and way in a way that allows everyone to not feel excluded because we live in a world to where people either want to conform what they believe on you, and if you can't, then you're not a part of their group, and that's just not the way it's supposed to be. You know,
Right.
the United States is supposed to be a melting pot for everybody to get along with everybody, and I think the sooner we could get to some of that, then we'd be in a hell of a lot better place. You know,
I agree.
let's stop forcing shit on everybody and just accept people for who they are and let them be who they are. I'll be who I am, and let's just not worry about it, man. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I agree 100%. 100%. And I think the more that we can teach the younger generation those things, the better. I have a 15-year-old and I'm same thing, like doesn't matter, just be a good person and just be kind. And man, I'm so proud of him. Teenage years are so hard. They're so tough. I don't think
Hmm.
I'll ever forget those years. So to be able to see, our little
I
ones
think
be
kids
able
have
to,
a I think they've got it harder now too, because I mean, you know, when I was a kid, I could fuck up and it wasn't on the internet forever.
yeah.
You know, I mean, there's there's all the stuff we used to do as kids, and now kids they're afraid to go out and have a little fun or do anything because everything is forever, or they're afraid that if they do something and mess up, then they're going to be made fun of forever. And I'm like, let's stop the bullshit, man. Like, just let people live, and because the problem is we all want to worry about everybody else's issues instead of fixing our own.
Oh,
Nine
yep.
times out of ten, because it's so much easier for us to do.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, that is another thing that I really hope with the messiness of not only the pandemic but just the especially the states in general the last few years. I think people got tired of or have been getting tired of fighting. that I don't see it as,
Hmm.
even in the music world, like in music genres, man, people were like relentless for the last, 15, 20 years about if you don't like this certain style of music, then you're stupid. I see so much less of those fighting over the petty things, and I think people just got really tired of it. So I'm hoping that means the pendulum's going to swing in the other direction, and people are going to get it figured out. Like, hey,
I
I thought
think
at the
people are. I think people are finally starting to see, and this is just my opinion, but I think people are finally starting to see that the most divisive tool in the United States and the world today is the media.
Mhm.
Because when we all actually look at what we're talking about, we all want the same shit. They just make it sound so different that we think we can't get along. We all want the same stuff, man. They
Right.
just make it sound so damn different. But
Mhm.
they're all saying the same stuff. You know, it just, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's nuts. And when you're able to take an emotional step back and like take your emotions out of it, it's so crazy how much more clearer things become. But
Mhm.
it's those emotional, things that are tugged on that get people um just involved so heavily in it. And really, I mean, that's one thing I really wish that they would teach children at a young age is emotional intelligence to be able to
Mhm.
critically think through those really hot topics.
Yeah. Because emotions get in the way of facts a lot of times.
Oh, so often, so often. It's a different part of the brain. It shuts down the
Mhm.
the creative thinking part of the brain. So emotions come up and you're like the critical thinking that you need for that conversation just goes to sleep, takes a little nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts. I know we kind of went totally off topic.
Oh, it's all
I
good.
absolutely love the new album. I'm so excited for everybody to hear it. I think it's incredible. I am excited to go back and listen to it right as soon as we get off of this. It's a beautiful album. I
Thank you.
I hope it takes you further and further as I've seen you guys go throughout the years. I'm so glad you guys are still out there doing it. You have continued to impress me. Thank you for the messages that you're putting out there for people, and
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
again so much for taking this time with me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for taking the time. We'll do it again sometime. Hey, make sure you check out Raindrops on the Rose. That's a song from my old man. So it's the
Uh,
one labeled Roar on there.
okay. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good. I see it now.
Yeah,
I'm already emotional today, so it's probably going to make me cry, but that's okay. Sometimes that's a good
that's
thing
all
to
right.
do.
But yeah, that one was kind of my song to my old man, and that's I let him hear it before he passed, and when he was in the hospital, and he really liked it. So,
So it was an
but yeah, that one's all about him.
oh, well, I'm gonna go back and listen to it with a fresh set of ears then.
All righty, have a good one, honey. Thank you so
You
much.
too. Thank you. Bye bye.
Mhm.